Before we start today's video, check out our merch shop, linked in the description down below. Use code Ahsoka in all caps to get $7 off your order. May the Force be with you, and enjoy the vid.
Hello there.
This is where the fun begins.
What's up guys, Unofficial Star Wars here. I hope you're all doing well, and in this video we have new reveals and new teases into the regards of the Ahsoka Disney Plus show coming from their cast and crew members, Eman Esfandi and Deanna Lee, who of course take on the roles of Ezra Bridger and Morgan Elsbeth respectively in the Mandoverse, or specifically in the Ahsoka show there of course. We of course are going to go ahead, we're going to hop right on into it, discuss everything that they had kind of revealed in a new interview, what this may mean for the future of the Mandoverse, the franchise, and a possible potential Ahsoka Season 2. Also into the regards of Dave Filoni's Thrawn movie. Before we do though, however, grab that subscribe button if you haven't already. We're discussing and covering all types of Star Wars related news, leaks, rumors, theories, and breakdowns here on the channel, so if you guys are into any of that, go ahead and grab that subscribe button and join us here today. And so, recently following an in-depth conversation between Natasha Liu Bordizzo and Ivana Sokana, who take on the roles of Sabine Wren and Shin Hati in the Ahsoka show, respectively, I'll of course will be discussing their interview and breaking it all down in a separate video here on the channel. StarWars.com themselves have recently taken to release a second part, or a part 2, to their Ahsoka post-strike interviews with the cast members of the Ahsoka show. Now that the Hollywood strikes, into the regards of the actors specifically, but also the writers, now that those strikes are over, the actors are now able to discuss and talk about many of their projects, movies, shows, and everything in between, so that definitely applies here for the Ahsoka show recently. They're really trying to get it out there and kind of take in those final moments of what's left of the show, since the strikes had ended right after the show itself had ended. This time around they had paired up Eman Esfandi and Deanna Lee. The two of them are a big part of the story of the Ahsoka Disney Plus show, both on and off screen, believe it or not. Take Deanna Lee, who had almost given up on acting before Jon Favreau had called her about The Mandalorian for her Morgan Elsbeth role, and then more than a year later she found out that her part was even bigger than she had imagined for the Ahsoka show. Morgan Elsbeth's actor Deanna Lee says that, in quotes, "I've always loved acting, but I could never find my break and my voice as an artist. I was honestly thinking, I guess I'll go back to college. I'll continue teaching martial arts, but here I am. It's just been magical for me to be able to have this newfound career and to be able to be an actress in something I love so much. I've loved Star Wars since I was a child, and it's just a real miracle for me." Ending that quote right there. The actress Deanna Lee was also recently at an LA Comic-Con, as the Comics Circus had documented. There she said that not only she didn't think that she'd ever be back, but up until she had watched chapter 13 of The Mandalorian, she didn't even know her character actually had a name. As she says that also, in quotes, "Until the night the Jedi episode had appeared on The Mandalorian Season 2, I was just stunned. Like, I actually had a name. I just knew I was the Magistrate. I know everybody's like, oh, Grogu, but I had no idea it had been Morgan Elsbeth until Rosie Dawson said the character's name." So that gives you an idea of the kind of scenery that they keep you in, you know? So yeah, I wasn't privy to it, but when I found out that I was going to be possibly considered for the Ahsoka show as well, ironically, I was at Disneyland with my family when I got the call from my manager, and I just literally screamed and cried in the middle of Disneyland, ending that quote right there, which both of those are honestly very much hilarious, and I love that they paired these two up, Eman Esfandi and Deanna Lee. They have such a sense of humor, which I think is honestly really quite funny, and it really brings their characters to life as well. Of that into the fact of, for one, she didn't even actually know that her character, Morgan Elsbeth, was named Morgan Elsbeth until the episode itself of The Mandalorian Season 2 had premiered, and for another to when she got the call to be in the Ahsoka show there as well. She was ironically at Disneyland and breaks down in the middle of Disneyland, just screaming and crying like, oh my gosh, I get to be in Star Wars again kind of scenario, which is very much super cool. The actress had also taken to talk about before the connection that she had formed with her father through Star Wars ever since that they had saw together in the theater in 1977, but she also told StarWars.com in the interview about her autistic son, who also very much gravitates towards these stories, saying that, in quote, "My oldest son has autism, and for whatever reason, he has really gravitated towards the whole Star Wars universe. I loved sitting down and watching the Clone Wars and later on Rebels. They're almost like modern day by fables, there also are some cool life lessons, and I think it's even more amazing that down the road, when I would be asked to audition for The Mandalorian in the beginning, it was my son that I would read lines to prepare, ending that quote right there. Very heartwarming, and that's something I actually really love to hear. Deanna Lee continues on saying in a prolific martial arts, and her talent was finally on a full display during the finale of the Ahsoka show there as well, when she had fought Ahsoka with Rosario Dawson with the Blade of Talzin. Apparently, stunt coordinator Ming Kui had some input on the story of that scene, and when it was Deanna Lee who had asked for the weapon to actually kill her character, is a whole nother topic I have actually already discussed here on the channel. She says that, in quote, the stunt coordinator Ming came up with the idea of taking the spine of the Talzin blade and using it, redirecting the Night Sister's magic. I wanted so much to have a powerful ending, and I had actually requested that Elsbeth would die by her own weapon, ending that quote right there. And so, redirecting now from some of the takeaways that Eman Esfandi had said about taking on the role of Ezra Bridger within the Ahsoka show, bringing his character into live action. Another big story for the show was the casting of live action Ezra Bridger, a dream come true for Star Wars Rebels fans. Dave Filoni, and most importantly, Eman Esfandi, the actor behind him. The actor had also spoke to StarWars.com alongside Deanna Lee about how close he actually had felt to the character, saying that, in quotes, I literally feel like Ezra had spoke to me in my living room, which is strange, but it's what happened. It felt like anytime I was on set and wasn't sure what to do, I would, in my mind, just be like, alright Ezra, can we take care of this? You got this, right? It's just like, he was there, and that quote right there, which I'm not gonna lie to you guys is a very weird way to phrase things, but I think I know what he's trying to get at from there. Like, it sounds unhealthy, I'm not gonna lie to you guys, but you know, Eman Esfandi really took the character of Ezra Bridger quite seriously, which I really love, and I cannot wait to see him take on the character once more in the future of the Mandoverse, whether it's in future seasons of The Mandalorian, Ahsoka Season 2, or Dave Filoni's Thrawn movie, or an entirely different project. I really can't wait to see his character in the future of the Mandoverse for one, but for another, if you ever actually have seen like Eman Esfandi like in interviews, he really just is being himself, and by being himself, it really kind of just makes him Ezra Bridger, which I think makes the character all the more. He had also taken to explain his preparation process and how it did not involve actually rewatching Star Wars Rebels, the animated show, on a loop. Instead, he took a deep dive into Star Wars lore through reading articles and watching videos on YouTube. As he says that, in quotes, I didn't watch Rebels ad summum because I didn't want to get too much of the younger version of the character locked into my body, but I had watched the episodes that Dave Filoni actually recommended to me, so I could understand the relationship between Ahsoka and Sabine and the rest of the Ghost crew, and I also researched Ezra like a public figure. I read all these articles and then watched a ton of the videos on YouTube about the Force, and interviews with George Lucas, and interviews with Dave Filoni. I had inundated myself with all things Star Wars to understand the tone and this idea of the show itself. Ending the quote right there, which is very much something that I really appreciate and really love, of how he takes it so seriously, as I had mentioned, taking the time and that liberty to really research it, not just by watching the Star Wars Rebels animated show. Like, of course, he watched a couple of the important episodes, but not the whole thing, of course, but had also taken that liberty to do research, like reading articles and watching YouTube videos and explanation videos is something I think that is super duper cool. And so, this here all being said, guys, I would love to hear all of your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. What are you guys looking forward to seeing most with the future of the franchise, with the Mandoverse, Ahsoka Season 2, the future of these two characters of Ezra Bridger and Deanna Lee's Morgan Elsbeth, if we see the future of Morgan Elsbeth as she had seemingly met her demise in the season finale of Ahsoka. Of course, I would love to hear all of your thoughts and opinions and theories in the comments down below. Thanks so much for watching today's video. Of course, this has been an official Star Wars. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Have a great one. May the Force be with you as always. Peace out.